Lexington Square marker, dated 1805, is at Rock Hill and Greenbower Streets. Greenbower was the main stagecoach road between Warren and Canton. The city of Alliance was founded in 1850. The Freedom Square marker is at the corner of North Park and Keystone Streets. Freedom was surveyed by John Whitaker on July 24, 1838. During the same year, Matthias Hester erected his brick house. It was the first brick house in Alliance, built near Freedom Triangle in 1838. Mr. Hester was born in Greene County, Pennsylvania in 1793. He came to Lexington Township in 1838 and purchased 60 acres of land. In 1850, his land was annexed into the new village of Alliance. Early lots sold for $40 each. Here are the Hester brothers and sister, children of pioneer Matthias Hester. Alliance's most famous visitor arrived on February 15, 1861. President-elect Abraham Lincoln briefly addressed the assembled crowd on his journey from Springfield, Illinois to Washington, D.C. for his inauguration. The original Sauerbeck house on the north side of the tracks burned down in 1864. It was replaced with this quality brick structure in 1866. It was on the south side of the tracks. It was known for its fine food and included 25 first-rate large bedrooms on the second floor. Alliance has many quality historic homes, some still standing, others only memories. Alliance's oldest house is still standing at 501 West Wayne Street, the Rockhill House, built in 1820 by Samuel A. Rockhill. The Freedom Tavern was at the corner of Vine and Walnut. It was a popular stopover for people traveling by Conestoga wagon. It was built in the 1830s and torn down in the mid-1930s. It was about a block east of the Mabel Hartzell home. The Haynes House, home of Sarah and Jonathan Haynes, sits at the corner of Haynes and Market Street. It was built in 1842. It's a historical museum and well known for its role in the Underground Railroad. Matthew Early's home was built in 1867. The property extended to the Mahoning River. It sits at the corner of Park and Vine Streets today. Today it's known as the Mabel Hartzell Historical Home. Elisha Teeter's home at 323 West Vine Street was built in 1871. Elisha Teeters was one of the founders of Alliance in 1851. His home is still standing. Levi L. Lamborn built his home in 1857 on the northwest corner of Main and Union. Dr. Lamborn pioneered the development of the Lamborn red or scarlet carnation, which is now the Ohio State flower. The W.W. Canteen home, built in the 1870s, was on the southwest corner of Main and Union. Mr. Canteen owned the Alliance Gas and Power Company. In the late 1860s, Charles Lane, founder of Hillgreen and Lane Pipe Organ Company, built this house on the southwest corner of Vincent and Union. It was later purchased by Mount Union, where it served as the president's residence and conservatory of music. It was torn down in the 1960s. The John C. Graff home, built in 1874, is at 2626 South Union, the northeast corner of East Milton and Union Avenue. The Edwin Morgan home at 309 South Union Avenue is seen in this photo. In the 1960s, his home was moved to 55 West Oxford to make way for construction of B.F. Stanton Middle School. Home of George Reeves, founder of the Reeves Brothers Boiler Works, the home is at 205 South Union Avenue. Reeves Brothers Boiler Works was the largest manufacturer of boilers and gas tanks in the world. It became the Babcock and Wilcox Company. The home became the YMCA in 1947 and was demolished in 1974 for construction of the new YMCA. Here's a photo of the Myers Israel Funeral Home on South Union. It was demolished in 1996. The Willis Ramsey House, located at Union and Overlook, was built in 1910. Ramsey was W.H. Morgan's brother-in-law and secretary-treasurer of the Morgan Engineering Company. It was considered to be the second finest home in Alliance. Which home was considered the finest? Glamorgan Castle, home of Colonel William Morgan. It's now the city school administration building. This photo shows the home of Charles E. Rice, DDS, Union and Rice Street. Dr. Rice was a history buff and noted for his antique collection. This is the Fred Morris home, located on the southwest corner of Cambridge and Union. It was built by Mr. Morris in 1902. He was sales manager and president of Morgan Engineering. In the 1920s, the home was purchased by the Christ family and became the childhood home of Professor Lyle Christ. Thorne's grocery store is now located at this site. Historic Main Street. Here's a pre-1910 view of Main Street, looking east from Arch Avenue. Here's a view of Main Street, looking east from Mechanic. Remember the Owl Grill? Next are two views of the same corner. One was back in early times, and the other later when Alliance First National Bank building was constructed. This photo shows the laying of trolley tracks on Liberty Street, looking south from Main Street. The building on the left was the Chase Hotel, later known as the Stark Hotel. Here is Main Street in the 1930s, looking east from Mechanic Street. And the viaduct at the end of Main Street. We think the people on the viaduct were there to greet the soldiers coming home from the Spanish-American War. In 1906, a train accident caused the viaduct to fall. The Opera House was built in 1867-68 for approximately $75,000. It was 80 feet tall and contained 3 stories and a basement. The first 2 floors consisted of stores and offices, and the third floor was the Opera House. The building collapsed because of poor quality bricks. This was the Spring Holsworth department store at 324 East Main. It served early Alliance families with a variety of goods, including the latest in fashion. The store was destroyed by fire January 31st, 1931. It was soon rebuilt. November 30th, 1965, a Main Street fire. City Loan, Stuyvesant and Lloyd, Fig and Shoe Jewelers, S.P. Brown, all destroyed. The buildings were located between Mechanic and Arch Streets. Here's a view after the Friendly Furniture Store fire, January 23, 1982. The Market House at Arch and Prospect was built in 1925. It was a bustling shopping center. Here's a view of Knowles. Knowles sold office supplies. An interior view of the Vernon Piano Company. And a view of Alliance Hardware on Main Street. Here stands the Lexington Hotel on the southeast corner of Linden Avenue and Main Street. It was demolished in 1970. It had a lovely dining room, an expansive lobby, a bar, and a busy barber shop. This is the G.C. Murphy 5 and 10. It was on the northwest corner of Main and Linden. Main Street was a busy place in the 1950s. Kresge's Canteen, a downtown dining spot where lemonade was 5 cents and a banana split 15 cents. This is an interior view of Jeanette's Restaurant on Main Street. The Cope Electric Company was located on Arch Street, adjacent to the post office. This building at the corner of Union and Main was built in 1940s. Originally a car dealership, had a roller skating rink in the basement. The second floor was added for the Caskey Motor Inn. Don Poncho's succeeded Caskey's. The building was demolished in 1996. The Alliance Fire Department, built in 1905, cost $14,553. It closed in 1974. It was later transformed into the Firehouse Theater for the Carnation City Players. Here's a view of the public square in the 1890s. And the public square with the Eagle statue. That was in 1918. In 1937, you see an exhibit on Public Square selling Taylorcraft stock to keep the factory in Alliance. In July 2001, the Public Square statues were moved to make room for the Freedom Center. Here's a postcard from the Alliance Brewing Company on Summit near Mahoning Avenue. It was incorporated in 1905. The company went out of business when national prohibition came in. It reopened in 1919 as the Alliance Bottling Company and produced Coca-Cola. Remember the Supreme Dairy horse and wagon? The Supreme Dairy was located at 115 East Milner. Here's an ad for the new Lyric Theater. The admission was only 15 to 25 cents. The Ideal Theater was opened in 1910. It was located at East Main between Linden and Freedom. In later years, this was a location of Turner's Drugstore No. 2. The Ohio Theater was on the first floor of the Ohio Bell Telephone Company at Main and Linden. Here's the Morrison Theater on Freedom Avenue, just south of the square. And the Columbia Theater, very popular in vaudeville days. And here's a view of the Columbia Theater after a tragic fire, March 29, 1949. And the Strand Theater downtown, famous for its Western movies. This is the Nash Garage in Mount Union, built in 1920. It was converted in 1939 to the Mount Union Theater. The first movie, Deanna Durbin in 100 Men and a Girl. The Freedom School at 705 North Freedom, as it is today, was erected in 1838 in the village of Freedom. The brick structure has been covered with siding for a number of years. It's the oldest remaining school building in Alliance. The Alliance College was built in 1867 at Broadway and Linden. The stock market crash of 1873 forced its closing. It became the first Alliance High School in 1887. It was replaced at the same location with a new high school in 1911. An addition was added in 1921. In the 1950s and 60s, the push began to replace this building with the multi-million-dollar facility we have today on Glamorgan Street. Here's the demolition of the high school at Arch and Broadway in 1974. The murals, which were painted by the class of 1948 students, Jack Stanley and Charles Jem, were removed and installed in the new auditorium. Here's a view of South Lincoln School, 1992, shortly before being razed for the new structure. North Park School, built in 1892 at North Park and Washington Street, was torn down after a fire. Maple Hartzell taught first grade here in 1899. This is the Park and Broadway School. It was located on the present site of the Central Fire Station. When the new middle school at South Union and Beach was completed, Stanton School and State Street School were no longer needed. Stanton was razed in 2003 and is now a vacant lot. State Street Junior High School was torn down in 2004 to make way for a new hospital complex. This is the former St. Joseph's Elementary School. It was replaced by Regina Chaley Elementary. It later became the Alliance Neighborhood Center. Fairmount Children's Home, dedicated in October 1876, became home to many orphan children for nearly the next 100 years. This building was destroyed by fire in 2002. Andrew Carnegie donated money to communities across the country to build libraries, and Alliance was no exception. The dome roof was removed in later years, and after construction of the Rodman Public Library, the Carnegie Library was demolished. The land for Silver Park was originally the Lorenz Farm. Here's a view of Silver Park in the early 1920s. The large white structure is the Lake Park Pavilion. The Stark Electric Railroad steam generator can be seen in the background. The lake water was used to cool the generators. Who remembers Rock Hill Park? The Alliance Senior Center is located on the site of this park. Mount Union College was founded in 1846 by Orville Nelson Hartshorn. Chapman Hall was completed in 1864. It's the oldest building on the Mount Union campus and still serves students today. This photo from the early 1900s shows three prominent buildings of that day. The home of the Mount Union College president was located on South Union Avenue. It saw many changes through the years. This structure was the home for college presidents from William H. McMaster through President Harold Kohlenbrander. In the year 2000, the Fred Hopt House became the home for the Mount Union College president. Some former college structures included the Sigma Nu House. Raised in 2005, a new house was built across the street on the former Ramsey House property. The Phi Kappa Tau House was also recently demolished after being vacant for several years. George Judd had a tailor shop at Main and Liberty. He lived to be 100 years old. His former home was the College Administration Building. These buildings were torn down when Beagley Hall Administration Building was constructed. This is Memorial Hall on Mount Union College's campus, dedicated in 1921. It was torn down in 1996. It was a memorial to those who had died in World War I. Alliance was a prominent railroad town, and the railroad supplied buildings and services to the community, including this building, the first hospital in Alliance. The first Alliance City Hospital was located at Arch and College Streets. It was dedicated in April of 1901. On January 1, 1917, the second Alliance City Hospital was formally opened on College Street. Here's the Alliance City Hospital expansion in the 1950s and the 1976 expansion of Alliance Community Hospital. And in 2006, a state-of-the-art brand new Alliance Community Hospital was erected on State Street between Arch and Union. The Medical Arts Building on East State was razed for hospital construction. In the 1960s, this was the location of Kroger's and Burger Chef. Here's Mount Union Square looking north around 1900. Mount Union was founded by Ellis Johnson in 1820. In 1820, the village established a post office and called itself Jobsville, after Ellis Johnson's brother Job. Because surveys showed it to be one of the highest points in Ohio, everyone was in agreement. They renamed it Mount Union. The Conn House was located at the southeast corner of Union and State around 1900. This is the corner where Walgreens is today. The Conn House was built in 1836 by John Hare. He served liquor until the temperance movement began. In 1840, Mr. Conn bought it and operated it as a hotel and restaurant. It was a popular gathering spot for college students in the 1860s. The College Inn restaurant on Mount Union Square in the 1940s. This building was built in 1837. It was destroyed in the 1960s for a parking lot. And this is a view of the southeast corner of Union Avenue and State, showing the Standard Oil Company, Ohio, and the Plager and Cross Photo Studio. This photo was taken in 1950. Here's the Mount Union Bank on Mount Union Square, the southwest corner. It was opened January 20th, 1930. Notice the A&P grocery store next door. Also notice State Street was Ohio Route 19, and Union Avenue was Ohio Route 80. Here's the Mount Union Pharmacy on the northwest corner of the Mount Union Square, formerly Turner Drug Store. It was raised in 1998. This is a view of Mount Union Square in the 1940s, looking east on State Street. How times change. Not one building in this picture is standing today. And looking the same direction in this photo, The stamp building fire on Mount Union Square in 1946. Bud's Discount Store on Union Avenue was demolished in 2006. Substation number 1, 1840, became Becker's Paint Store at the southwest corner of Hartshorn and Union Avenue. In the basement was the popular 1950s, 1960s college hangout called The Huddle. Here's a view of Madsen's Liner at the northwest corner of Arch and State. Madsen's Liner was noted for its pork barbecue sandwiches. It was later known as the Seahorse Inn before demolition for the new hospital. Here's Friendly's Ice Cream at northeast corner of Parkway and State before demolition, April 2001. Today, the Marathon gas station is at the same location. When Cope Furniture was built at Parkway and State in 1929, many thought the company was crazy to locate so far out in the country. But the company prospered for over 60 years. The building was remodeled and renovated and became the present-day Key Bank building. This plot of empty land in 1988 was the planned site for the Buckeye Village Marketplace. And a view of the completed project in the 1800 block of West State at Beechwood. The Johnson home was on the southwest corner. It was torn down as the Beechwood-Sawburg intersection was straightened. The Equitable Savings Bank can be seen on the northeast corner of Sawburg and State. In 1996, it was replaced by Rite Aid Drugstore. Here are some photos taken from atop the antenna looking east on State Street in 1972. It was located at State and Sawburg. This telephoto view of State Street showing signs for Hex, L&K Restaurant, Murphy's Mart, Sparkle Grocery, and Gray Drug. And here's a view of State Street looking west from high on top of the antenna in 1972. And let's not forget Alliance's most controversial landmark.